Hello dear listeners, TW here. Nate and I over 2 episodes are discussing Superman, the hero in live action form. Going from the 70s right through to the modern James Gunn iteration, we discuss the films, their histories, and even evaluate them. Enjoy and spoilers ahead. Hello Nate, welcome back.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Once again.
Again, yeah.
My apologies for the lack of couch this time.
No, this is fine. I'm happy sitting on a chair. Any chair's good.
Yeah. I mean, if this is not our best episode, we can blame the lack of creature comforts.
Yeah, that's it. It's that's the one variable that got changed is the chair. It's not that I've become less interesting or funny.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a cactus at least on the desk.
Which, there's a little sloth.
A sloth with a cactus.
Yeah.
Not all podcasts have that, you know.
No, and not all podcasts lean so heavily on like visual stuff very early on.
Probably for a good reason.
Yeah. But there is a sloth pot that appears to be hugging a cactus coming out of his belly. It's very cute.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't not have a sloth on your desk. That'd just be weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so awkward segues aside.
I forgot why we were here.
What are we doing today, Nate?
Well, now I know that today we are talking about Superman.
Yeah. As in collectively.
And you didn't spring that on me. I had agreed to talk about Superman, but I thought we were doing something else today. And I just forgot.
Yeah.
I got confused.
Yeah, it's all right.
I've got holiday brain.
Yeah, holiday brain. That's okay. So when we say you're talking Superman, we're talking about basically starting with the 70s Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, film. And the adaptations of that character to live action film. We're not talking DC releases stuff every now and then. They did Red Sun and Death of Superman, all that sort of stuff, and apparently they're fine.
Okay.
But they're always like those are always pretty faithful adaptations, more or less. And I think we agreed as gentlemen that we're not getting into the muck and mire talking about Zack Snyder's. There's plenty to talk about there. In short, Henry Cavill's a good fit for Superman, but that adaptation of Superman is messy for a lot of reasons that we don't want to get into.
Pretty much. So we'll brush up against that, but we won't. Yeah. That's not the focus. I think that's well summarised. That'll save us some time at the end.
Yeah.
I was as I want to do. I was re-listening to some of our podcasts. I like to redo them from time. The glory days of last season.
Yeah.
And it's just nice to remind myself what we talked about, and so we're not repeating ourselves too much. We were talking about Star Wars many moons ago, and how the fact that Lucas had Star Wars and they were kind of independent to some extent, and in theory outside the mainstream system, and so on. And we talk about there was nothing really comparable. And when thinking about Superman, I go, the first two, whilst it was funded partly by Warner Brothers, it was the Salklings or whatever.
Is it a married couple?
And the father, I think. There's a bit of a feeling there. But it was it was a somewhat independent production.
They have a weird relationship with the intellectual property. Like, reading up a little bit about it in the last week or two, there are 5 Superman movies of this era, because Supergirl is released between 3 and 4, and that's canon for this series. That movie then tanked, and they sold off the Supergirl rights. But they had bought the filmic adaptation rights pretty cheaply, is my understanding.
Yeah, they bought it, I think, about 73 or something like that. So they were trying to make it from the early 70s, and we won't delve too much into all the rights because it's complicated, I suppose. But yeah, the idea...
And boring.
Dull, very dull. There's a YouTube video there somewhere, I'm sure. Just go look that up. What's really interesting, I find the production of Superman 1 and 2 interesting, though, because they were filmed simultaneously as compared to back-to-back. Because back-to-back is like the Lord of the Rings. You finish one and you immediately start on the second one.
I think, is it Back to the Future 2 and 3 are the first back-to-back?
Could be.
Yeah,
it could be.
I might be wrong.
Well, they were back to back. I don't know if they were the first, but definitely early on. Whereas Superman 1 and 2 were done simultaneously, meaning they were literally filming they were going to film the entire thing. The plan was do all the filming and then stop to do post-production, and that's where you would carve it up. But they got about 75% of the way through part 2, and they were coming up to spending $55 million, which was crazy.
That's a silly way to film 2 movies, because you've got a long production and post-production time without any money coming in.
Yeah, so naturally they stopped and went, well, what do we do? And their solution was kind of weird. And the stuff that I've picked up in looking at some of the behind the scenes around the Richard Donner cut, the plan was something like part 1 was supposed to be, it was supposed to end with General Zod and the other 2, whoever they were, destroying Earth.
Okay.
And then in Superman 2, he then does the around the Earth to back in time thing.
Yeah.
And basically, because they suddenly went, no, we need to release this film. And they kind of went, well, Donner's decision was there's no point in having a cliffhanger, because if this fails, there won't be a second film anyway.
Yeah.
So hence he does the fly around the Earth to bring Lois back to life at the end of part 1. And then they say, well, now we've got to come up with a different version for part 2, which is where he just kisses her and it just wipes her memory.
Yeah.
Which sounds very much like a plan they came up with at the last minute.
Yeah, that does sound like a 4:30 Friday afternoon plan.
Yes.
And both of those are like universe breaking, Deus Ex Machina, plot resolutions. If Superman can go backwards in time by flying around the Earth the wrong way, then why does he not just do that anytime he makes a mistake? It costs him nothing. And
It's obviously stupid.
Yeah, it's very stupid. And if he can erase memories by giving women a big smooch, why does he not do that every time?
Yeah. It's fundamentally bad writing.
It is.
Which it's funny starting at a negative, because I got a lot of good things to say about these films.
Yeah, we're starting with the end and we're starting with the negatives.
But I guess we'll reverse engineer this a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've got some problems, but let's work back up to them. I will say what I've done recently is I've rewatched. I bought this pack of Blu-rays that had all 4 Superman films and even Superman Returns, rather.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Jammed in there.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, all of the old Batman films too. So there's 9 films in a pack.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good quality. There's plenty of good movies in there.
It's probably I've got a lot of packs with lots of movies in them, and not many stuck up compared to that, I tell you. But I went through them, and I got to say my experience with Superman has been, as a kid, I grew up watching the Christopher Reeve ones, of course.
Yeah.
They were a big deal, even in the late 80s, early 90s, making their way to television. They would have TV extended versions and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I remember seeing it was a long time before I saw Superman 2. Right. I think I was late into my teens, but I'd seen the first Superman movie half a dozen times by that point, because it was on TV all the time as a kid. Channel 10 aired it pretty regularly. Yeah,
I remember seeing 1 and 2, because I remember General Zod and the Offsiders and them having the fight.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing number 4 a lot.
Yeah.
And when I rewatched number 3, I remember nothing from 3 for some reason.
Yeah, because it's 3 and 4 don't get... Well, back in the day, they were never shown on TV.
But I remember seeing 4 a lot, though, curiously. So that's the part I don't understand. I remember seeing 4 a couple of times.
Okay.
Have no memory of 3, so I can't explain that, but there it is.
Yeah, fair enough. I can't either.
Yeah, maybe it's just a bit of inexplicable luck, or maybe I got it from the video store.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Who knows? But as I got older, I really went off Superman. By the time Superman Returns came around, I said, I don't care. By the time Man of Steel came around, I don't care. And because he's a boring character. He's invincible. He's better than everyone else. He's Space Jesus. It's boring. But then something happened.
Mm-hmm.
I got halfway into it with the Superman film from last year. And then maybe, just maybe, because at time of recording it's April in 2026, and I feel like I'm more exhausted from this year already than all of 2025 combined.
Yeah.
And just watching some unapologetically positive, here is a hero who will not compromise.
Yeah.
And he's a symbol of truth, justice, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe it's just a comfort watch. I don't know.
I've got a take on this.
Yeah, go for it.
I agree largely with what you said there, that like Superman is in terms of superhero, he's pretty boring. He's just a good guy who has almost godlike powers that he doesn't abuse. He uses them to look after people.
Yeah.
And I think
he's pure.
Yeah, that's it. He has morals. He's raised right. Wants to do the right thing. Wants to look after people. And I think whether or not you find that boring has to do with how you feel about your world at the time. And so if at the moment you feel that like there are not a lot of people in the world with morals who want to do the right thing, Superman's not boring anymore. Superman is an ideology that is maybe lost or being lost.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when you're a little kid, you're like, oh no, all the adults around me are trying to do the right thing. Superman is boring.
Yeah.
It's only when you get to adulthood, you're like, oh no, wait a second. Everybody who has a certain amount of money is like actively trying to kill other people.
Yeah.
I think that's it. It's kind of, I don't know what to call it. There's like a gap there that you cross in adolescence where you're into Batman. Yes. Batman is like, I could be Batman if I trained hard enough. But when you're a little kid, you're like, oh no, Superman's the best one because he's the most powerful. Yeah. He wins. Yeah. And then when you're a teenager, you're like, oh no, he's boring. He's got no edge, and I'm edgy.
Yeah.
And then when you're an adult, and you're like, oh, everything is so fragile and requires people to maintain it. Superman wanting to maintain it rather than wanting to dominate it has value. It has interest.
Yeah. You don't want a real life Batman.
No,
but we do want a real life Superman.
Well, that's. I find it particularly boring now because it is time of recording 2026. We have had so many "What if Superman was bad" adaptations or movies, TV shows, whatever in the last couple of decades.
Once,
Watchmen did it in the 80s, and it was interesting then. Brightburn's all right.
That was a good little, like, it was almost an indie film, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's investigating, like, what if Superman, like Smallville, what if Superman as a kid was a bad kid?
Yeah.
And The Boys is a little bit like Homelander as Superman if he had been, abused as a kid.
Yeah. The idea that we deconstruct that perfect symbol in this very cynical age, I guess, is logical. It. But you can grow tired of that, I suppose.
Well, also it's fundamentally like, what if we, as humans, got this gift and we somehow screwed it up as we would likely do?
Yes.
That's not interesting to me because, we would probably screw it up. Show me a version where that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And the Superman movies, they are possibly they're naive, but I think that's intentionally so. It's not. It's not out of. It's not out of dumbness or stupidity or wanting to turn their back to how dire the world can be. It's.
Yeah. Well, keeping in mind without spending all the time in the history books here, but the original character was from the 1930s, so you have this symbol of powerful Americanism during the Great Depression, and then the fact that the character would have no doubt taken off during World War II. It makes a great deal of sense. That DC had him running around in the American flag, and Marvel just went one further and got a bloke.
You're being too subtle with this.
Yeah. So it makes sense that he came from that time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why exactly why did he take off in the 70s, but when we talk about 78 it was released, post-Vietnam, and America maybe needed a symbol at that time. It might have been part of it, I'm not sure.
I do. I mean, having said everything I've just said, I think the big deal with Superman being successful as a movie at the time is largely technology and talent.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Christopher Reeve is a good Superman. You've got an incredible score.
Oh yeah.
And
the flying effects.
The flying effects.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Star Wars in a way.
Yeah, it was, and that of course being a contemporary. We're still in that new Hollywood era.
Yeah.
Where people are trying things. I mean, ironically, this is an established property, unlike all the other 70s films we would normally refer to. And I guess it's interesting that it took off, no pun intended, with audiences within a year of Star Wars. So it feels like, embracing this positivity, because the first Star Wars film was certainly it's a hero's journey and very positive too.
I think they both succeed removed of politics. I don't, there's a large debate whether entertainment is downstream of politics or whether that relationship is reversed. And can movies influence people's politics or can they not? And there's no cut and dry answer there.
No.
But there's the interview with George Lucas years after, I think it was shortly after the prequel trilogy, where like he was not super aware of how countercultural Star Wars was at the time with Rebels. Rebels against an empire.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the back against the backdrop of the Vietnam War and all that sort of stuff. Like he just kind of like, no, I like the idea of a ragtag group of whatever, and so I think Superman as well is just kind of, it wasn't necessarily that the world needed a Superman movie because there was a deep yearning in our hearts, as so much as like they had the technology to do it and they did it successfully. Whereas I think 2025 Superman is different.
Okay, well, I reckon that's going to be a nice bookend to this conversation, because my spoiler, I'm going to basically say that from Superman 2 all the way through to the modern Superman, you don't have any fundamentally good Superman films. So you go a good, 40 years, basically.
I'm interested in that. What do you mean fundamentally? What do you mean good?
As in, there's some ifs, buts and maybes about some of the films. Some people like Superman Returns and blah, blah, blah. I don't think, after Superman 2, I don't think any of the films really nailed.
No, I agree with that. They're not good films.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're good Superman films either.
So the question I want to come back to at the end is, why did the first two work and this new one work? So and as you say, for different reasons. So if we can stick a pin in that might be a good way.
Let's hold on to that. Let's get to the most recent one later.
Yes. Yeah. So Superman 1 comes out. It is a massive success. And then Richard Donner is fired upon his what should have been his return to finish the second one.
Which is wild, because he had done a good job.
Yeah, if you watch the Richard Donner cut, of course it's not complete because they didn't do any additional filming. They were given a tiny budget to basically put it all together. And then they were able to... So, for example, Marlon Brando is not in the theatrical cut because he was demanding something like 11.5% of the gross. Yeah. So he was... They said, we can't afford to put you in the second film. So he's back in the Richard Donner cut because by then he had died and they got an agreement from his estate that they could do it for not that much money. Because there'd be just no justification for releasing the Donner cut if you were going to bleed 11.5% of it.
Like, in retrospect, it's kind of like Brando's a legend.
Yes,
he was just cashing a paycheck on that for like the Superman. He's fine.
He was reading cue cards apparently.
Yeah, cue cards that were like sticky taped to the baby that he was looking down.
Oh right, yeah. And this, the funny thing is though, he's still doing a pretty decent job, even though because he's just that good.
Yeah.
I think it is nice to see him in the second one. Sorry, for context, I should say I haven't seen the theatrical cut recently, as in decades.
Yeah.
So I just recently watched the Donner cut, and what's interesting about it is they bring Brando back, so there's some continuity there.
Yeah, I like that.
That's good. But they didn't really have time to go, oh, well, this is what I was going to film. There was no chance to go out and film anything new.
Yeah.
So there are things like there's a screen test that's been put into the film.
Oh, yeah.
Which is okay. It's not jarring, but there's a screen test in there. And then the end of the second film is the same as the end of the first one, where he basically goes, I'll fly around and turn back time a second time.
Yeah.
Because that was Donna's original plan. So some people say the Donner cut is definitive, that's the version you want. But if you do that, then you watch two films in a row where he just flies around the world twice to save them. Now, if we extract that, if we rip the endings out, because we've mentioned that, I don't think we need to beat that. The rest of the films work really bloody well. They are really good.
They're good movies. Particularly, like they're good 70s movies.
Mm-hmm.
They are just good movies.
Yeah.
There's a lot there that like, we almost take for granted now. so many years later. I can't do the maths. Like 50 years later, thereabouts.
Almost.
Yeah, that score, the opening credits with like that kind of laser text. Yeah, it's a good, simple representation of Superman on film.
Yeah, and the magic of it too. And this is a weird comparison, but bear with me here. I remember seeing Aladdin in the 90s on the big screen.
Yeah.
And then you see the magic carpet ride and all the rest of it, and you just go with the film there. It takes you away.
Yeah.
Hence that expression, going away on a magic carpet ride and all of these sorts of things. And that's what Superman did when he's flying with Lois and taking her up. It's beautiful. It's really well shot.
Yep.
Very, very effectively done. And what we've lost, I think, if you show that to a modern audience now, like if you showed it to a 15-year-old, they'd go, because now someone on a computer, the director can just say, you team of computer people, give me a flying scene, and away they go. And those sorts of things are no longer special, sadly, because it really is. I guess I was transported back to my childhood when I was watching it, and I go, these scenes are just really, really powerful. They're so simple. They're so simple, and I think that sums up the first two films. They are really simple films.
They are very simple. They because there wasn't any Superman cartoon when I was growing up, and the Batman animated series is very different in tone and execution to this. The best parallel I can think of to these movies is Captain Planet.
Oh,
where it is just it's a cartoon brought to life. The bright colours, simple motivations, a mustache twirling villain without a mustache, bumbling sidekicks, and all that. That's
a good point, actually. I hadn't really thought of that. That's a very apt comparison, because they were designed for kids, of course.
Yeah.
Very obviously. So the little kid that's still fighting to get out as we hurtle into middle age is still, there's something to grasp onto. I don't know if there's much more to say about those two films other than, like I said, they were very effective.
There's good as a good villains in each. Lex Luthor is he's the Superman villain, and I think he's the Superman villain for a interesting reason in this. That has since been built upon in modern comics and in the modern film, like the most recent film. General Zod's a good villain for Superman because he matches Superman in strength, and he is what if Superman wanted to dominate rather than nurture. So they're good villains. Terrence Stamp is phenomenal.
Yes.
Gene Hackman's phenomenal. These movies get better performances than you would think, given what they are and when they were made.
Most definitely. It's like the components. I mean, again, our contractual obligation to mention Star Wars 3 times in every podcast. But you look at the original Star Wars and you think, you had the people like Peter Cushing and Alec Guinness, I'm sure, walking around that set going, what am I doing in this silly, silly movie?
Yeah, Alec Guinness, isn't he famous for saying, someone saying, oh, I loved you in Star Wars, and this person, Alec Guinness was like, why don't you go watch a real movie? Yeah.
And Peter Cushing was just an absolute legend of an actor. And, I mean, you wouldn't know it when you watch it. Cushing especially, he chews the scenery, he's still got that theatrical, that theatricality to him. But there's people running around in plastic armor and making pew pew noises. It just looks silly, but people poured everything they had into the performances. And I think you're right. Yeah, the villains are spot on. But then you look at the people at the Daily Bugle. Is that what it's called? Daily Planet.
Daily Bugle Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yes. Yeah. One of those.
Yeah.
The superhero with the red and the blue and his outfit. That one. Yeah. They're all fantastic, but Reeve is, of course, he steals the show. He's the definitive version.
Yeah, he's great. He's he is the definitive version. I don't know if he's the best, but he set the tone. That's what Superman is compared to. Yeah,
he's kind of like James Bond, Sean Connery set the standard.
Yeah.
And then you had you bring in Lazenby, who they kind of said, kind of do it like him.
Mm.
And the only reason why actors after that, like, more were successful is because they said, no, I'll do it my way.
Yeah.
And it feels like everyone that's taken on Superman's role has always been living in the shadow and has never got out of Reeve. Like, they're always trying to do that. They're trying to do Christopher Reeve. And some have done it very well and some not as well.
Yeah, like Brandon Routh's Superman is a Christopher Reeve impersonation.
Yes, yeah, it's quite
it's a very good impersonation. Whereas David Corenswet's Superman, I would say, like, I don't know whether it deviates the most because Henry Cavill's deviates as well, but in a different way.
Yeah. But
yeah.
It just feels like, you know, you look at, say, Brosnan to Connery, and you just go, these are two clearly different actors. Yeah.
If one of them wasn't called James Bond, you'd say, like, oh, different characters.
Yes. Whereas it feels like all the Superman actors have always been tethered to Reeve, and I'm not saying that as a criticism of the actors. I'm saying that's how big.
Yeah, it's a long shadow.
Yeah.
Batman doesn't have that.
No.
Michael Keaton is a great first Batman.
But no one's tried to be him.
No one's tried to be, like, because he's a comedian before he was Batman. No one's tried to replicate that comic tone in a live action Batman since then. And everyone's got their own favourite Batman. Some people it's Keaton, other people it's Bale. Some people it's Pattinson. I don't know if for anyone it's Affleck, but maybe
12-year-olds when it came out. Like,
he's very old and fat though.
Yeah, but he's cool and he's got a car. I'm trying to put myself in the mentality. Yeah. If I was 12 when I saw that movie, maybe I would.
Until you saw, like, a different Batman, and then that would be your favourite instead.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so
that takes us to the end. Superman 1 and 2.
Yeah.
In summary, those movies are great.
I think controversially, I need to rewatch the theatrical cut, but I feel like, as silly as the kiss is at the end,
It's very silly.
I still feel that's better than he flies around the Earth twice.
Yeah, actually, and that's we started with this. It's worth finishing with it as well.
Sure.
The movies are great, but if ever, like, these are very, very good movies that paint themselves into a corner and have no way out of it until, like, the last 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, which is, to me, that's inexcusable. If you did that in the year 2026, I would say that movie's, like, 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
If you put all that effort into this movie and you didn't have an ending, like, that movie is garbage.
Could you define Deus Ex Machina for our listeners?
Yeah, so I think it's the hand of God, or God in the machine is the literal term. It is where the plot is resolved by an external force.
That has not been previously introduced.
Hasn't been previously introduced. And, like, it happens in science fiction and things like Superman all the time, but it's generally a mechanic that is introduced earlier in the film.
Yes, and
so
that's generally okay.
There are ways to do, like, if Superman can turn back time by spinning around the Earth, you need to allude to that earlier in the film and maybe lay out, but it takes a severe toll on him. Like, that exposure to radiation ages him, or something like that. Just write something into the script where, like, he can do it, but it costs him. And
you just fix both those movies with one line. Yeah.
Similar to The Kiss, he can do it, but it erases his memory as well, or something like that. Where, like, you can't just have, like, when Andy's playing with his toys in Toy Story, you can't just go, no, but he can fix it, and then, but my dinosaur eats force fields, and you just keep. No, I can do this. He can do this. He can do this, and he's just if there's no stakes, none of it matters.
Right, and a good non-example would be the villain is about to kill our hero, and the hero is suddenly saved by the hero's friend, who had just arrived in the nick of time. That's fine because that character was already introduced.
Yep.
It's not just that you've saved someone at the nick of time or something to that effect. It's when you haven't set it up. At all.
And the audiences are generally very, very forgiving about this.
The fact that we loved the first Superman.
You can have, as you said, the character comes in from off screen just in the nick of time. People buy that again and again and again. And it's never a matter when kids are first learning about, like, they can criticize movies. They're like, oh, they would have heard him coming from behind. It's like, probably. You're missing the point. But the fact that both Superman movies have the same, and it's a pretty fatal flaw. Like, I love them in spite of it, but
oh yeah,
it's a big deal.
it is. And thankfully, no other films in this, based on the character, have gone down. They just said no, we'll pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And just don't address it, which is probably the right decision.
Yeah.
What's your experience with Superman 3?
I've seen Superman 3 once, and it was a very long time ago. I didn't care for it. I found it so tedious. Yeah, how about you?
So, like I said, I don't think I ever actually saw it, but I knew a lot about it online. I knew it was a very mixed response.
That's generous.
There are some people who genuinely defend this film, and I've got to say, I watched this a few weeks ago, and I think those people are mad.
Yeah, I could see people defending. I could see fans of Blazing Saddles defending this movie. But like, you and I were talking about it. It's a weird movie.
Yeah.
Weird in concept, and I challenged to come up with another time that this has happened, more modern than this, where you have a successful franchise that gets a co-lead for a subsequent installment, and that co-lead changes the tone of the franchise completely.
Yeah, so the challenge is there anything in the past, say, decade, where it's kind of like stunt casting, isn't it? Where you bring someone in from the outside. I really don't think there's an answer. I'm reminded of, say, Lethal Weapon, where Joe Pesci suddenly turns up.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
But that's 30 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists, and part of that is because the concept of the movie star isn't what it was once upon a time. The idea that this person's in this movie, people will go see it.
That's it, just because of him.
Because Tom Cruise, for example, which sounds weird now, but in the 90s, people would go to see a Tom Cruise movie. Yeah. Doesn't matter what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really exist anymore.
It exists for like a handful of stars. Like, I think people do come out to see Timothée Chalamet movies. Not in those numbers, not in Star Wars Superman numbers, but like people turn out to see
Robert Downey Jr. is
Robert Downey Jr. There are a handful of movie stars that.
But I guess the difference is, though, what drives people now is intellectual property. They'll go, have you seen the new Star Wars movie?
Yeah.
Or Marvel movie?
Yeah.
Rather than, have you seen the new Robert Downey Jr. movie?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's I don't know, an artifact of how franchise-driven movies are now.
Rather than star-driven. But there is still star power, of course.
Yeah.
But short answer is no. I can't think of a single one.
The closest, the best example I could think of is The Rock being introduced into the Fast and Furious movies. He does become a co-lead to the point where he has, he and Vin Diesel both have stipulations in their contract for those movies that they cannot lose a fight to each other on screen because they're so fragile and insecure about they've got to be the toughest one on screen. But those movies are as dumb as a pillowcase full of batteries anyway. And he didn't change the tone. He's a good addition to the cast. It's just it's a co-lead being added.
Yeah, and how do we define... Okay, if someone is, 30 years old and has no idea who Richard Pryor is, how do you describe... I mean, okay, he was a stand-up comedian first and foremost.
Yeah.
A very edgy stand-up comedian. And back when black stand-up comedians weren't really getting their due, he was a real pioneer.
Yeah.
So people like Eddie Murphy in the 80s come through because of Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor laid the groundwork. But I think, Richard Pryor laid the groundwork. The door was kind of nudged open for Richard Pryor through his work with Mel Brooks, is my understanding.
Okay.
And Mel Brooks, he's a pioneer in cinematic comedy and spoofing, satire, all that sort of stuff. Blazing Saddles, Robin Hood. Yeah,
but still, there is no equivalent today. I mean, if you just said, we're doing a sequel to Superman and we'll put Chris Rock in there, and he's going to be a comic relief.
Yeah,
that's still not quite the same thing.
Not quite the same thing. Because Chris Rock has been in movies, and Chris Rock has been in So it's got to be like the new Superman movie has got who's that dude from SNL? Pete.
I'm not really up with my
Yeah,
SNL
never
people
mind.
these days.
I can't think of.
But that's a good one. So a comedian from
Yeah,
SNL
like a
suddenly.
young comedian. Pete, who dating Ariana Grande, and never mind. Pete Davidson.
Okay.
There you go. I got it.
Yay.
All by myself.
Yay.
It may sound like there was an edit in there where I looked it up, and there genuinely wasn't. That's just how the brain works.
Yeah, there normally is.
There normally is. This time
wasn't.
we're being honest, there wasn't.
Yeah, and I had no idea, so there you go.
Yeah, and I think he's been in a movie, but it was a comedy movie that he wrote
Yeah.
himself. So I think that's a good... If he was Batman's best friend in the next Batman movie.
Yeah, you just go, why are you doing this?
Yeah, and it's not an existing character. Like if it was Pete Davidson is appearing as the Joker in the next Batman movie, that you'd be like, oh, that's weird, I guess, but sure.
Yeah.
But this is Pete Davidson appearing as
Basically.
Batman's friend, Sheet Davidson,
who's basically
just playing himself to do some comedy stuff for this next which is so weird.
It's very weird. It didn't work at the time. It didn't bomb. It made its money back, but it was only a fraction of what the first two made.
Yeah.
And again, there's people who defend it, and I don't understand. I watched it, and it is jaw-droppingly terrible.
Yeah.
It's not just that Richard Pryor's in it, and the fact that at one point he ends up on the main street with a pink cape and on skis, even though it's it's the middle of summer, but somehow he's got skis and he falls 50 stories, and even if you take that out, the rest of it is still bizarre, because the main villain, there isn't really a main villain in effect, because basically Richard Pryor is a computer expert. Sure, why not? This is clearly, because it's early 80s, this is a director who doesn't know what computers do.
Yeah.
So it's like you just hack things with a computer.
Yeah, for a brief window in the 80s and early 90s, computers were synonymous with magic.
Yes.
They could do whatever you wanted.
Because you had 50-year-old men writing and they didn't understand.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, like Weird Science is a good example of that.
Yeah.
But, we can. A computer can make a sexy woman for some boys. Why not?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, prove that can't happen. It can't.
Well, in the year 2026. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, so plot synopsis.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor is a computer hacker, and he helps he helps Lex Luthor to...
Is it Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor equivalent.
It's not.
It's functionally.
Functionally.
It's another rich dude.
Yeah.
And he says, help me do... we'll use satellites to destroy all the crops so that I'll own all the coffee.
Yeah, he wants to sabotage other markets so that he has a monopoly, and then Superman
he
stops that.
Yes.
And so this billionaire then sets his sights on destroying Superman.
Yes. And then at one point Superman becomes evil.
Yes.
Because he gives him some corrupted
synthetic kryptonite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it's like writers are writing for 12-year-olds. It really feels like 12-year-olds wrote this one.
Yeah.
So he turns evil. He gets drunk. His cape turns brown. He eventually separates himself. So good Clark Kent beats bad Superman. So the main heavy in this, the main obstacle, is just himself. So okay. Then they build a giant computer. Yeah. Because of course, if you want a computer, it needs to be the size of a cabin.
Yeah, the bigger the computer, the stronger the computer.
Yeah,
it's all checks out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a little Simpsons reference there we can make too. And then the computer grabs one of the Offsider villains and turns her into a robot. So she becomes the main heavy, but for about 20 seconds.
Yeah. And
it's just like throwing stuff at the screen to see what will stick, and none of it sticks.
No, and Lois Lane's not really in this one. It's Lana Lang instead.
Yeah, because he goes back to Smallville basically
for a reunion.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's actually quite nice.
I like that as a plot device.
Yeah.
I've always I enjoy sequels where it's almost like a breakaway. Like you halve your cast.
Yep.
This is what's happening when someone is out on a side journey.
Problem is that they still have all the main characters in the Daily Planet.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And they have scenes that have nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah.
So it's like they were contractually obligated, or we got to have them in there.
Yeah.
But he leaves in the first scene and comes back in the basically the final scene. But we keep cutting back to them.
Yeah,
And it's
pointlessly.
like, there's this weird subplot where some of the employees win a trip, and Perry's got a little lotto thing. Oh, you won the employee trip. So they go. This couple goes, and they happen to be there when in South America, where the plantation is getting wiped out by whatever satellites. So they come back and then sue Perry because you sent us to a place, and he's like, but it's an act of God. He's like, this has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, it's.
And in the end, he gets a computerized thing to generate the numbers instead of him just turning a little barrel, but it malfunctions because technology's malfunctioning, and that's on theme.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the movie.
No,
it's nothing at all. It's boring.
Yeah.
They're trying to be funny.
Yeah, and trying to be like, maybe subversive. They're like, oh, everyone's into computers, but check it, we think computers might actually be bad.
Yeah. What a take.
Yeah, a computer that you could trap Superman in would be bad, but that doesn't exist, and you're making it up.
And then there's a computer game version where they've actually animated computer game graphics.
Yeah.
So they're going pew pew and shooting the Superman. It's so bad.
It's aged like milk, hey.
I mean, because it wasn't great initially.
Yeah. That's it. I think even at the time, this would have seemed outdated. It has the tone of like, the Carry On movies.
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like, which is what was happening with James Bond at the time as well, where it's all just like, just utter contempt for the audience.
Yeah.
We don't need a story, we don't need a plot, we don't even need characters. If we just throw stuff on the screen and it looks like people are having fun, that will be enough for the idiots.
Yeah. And it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't. It was for the Bond films, but not for this at all.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things to recommend in the film, but not enough to counterbalance everything else. So again, Christopher Reeves does a fantastic performance.
And Richard Pryor is not the worst part about this movie.
No,
it's weird that he's there.
He's symbolic of the bizarre tonal shift that they made,
and I think he's symptomatic of the larger problem, which is that for some reason someone behind the scenes was panicking, and like, we need to stuff this full of other stuff because Superman is not going to sell this by himself. So we need to have Richard Pryor. We need to have...
They didn't have a credible villain either.
We need to have computers, because computers are the thing. And we need to...
What a weird mix for Superman of all things. I can understand computers in a Batman movie because he's rich and does technology
he's a
stuff.
detective as well. He's into his technology. But yeah, it doesn't... Superman doesn't solve computer problems. He solves political and muscle problems.
Basically, which probably explains why Superman 4 is what it is.
Yeah.
So Superman 4 is now a canon film because Canon bought the rights, and then they were trying to make Masters of the Universe, so with He-Man.
Yep.
They were trying to make this and a Spider-Man film, and basically the Spider-Man film never eventuated.
Yeah, fair.
And then they halved the budget for Superman 4 before it even started.
Yeah.
And then they cut the budget on poor He-Man as well, but that's somebody else's problem. So Canon was on the way out, and that explains why So I just rewatched this film, and they kept talking about how it looked cheap, and you go, yeah, but even the good effects from the first three films still look like 70s effects.
Yeah, they've aged.
They look pretty good.
Yeah,
but you can see the blue lines or the black lines around.
Yeah.
The fourth one is embarrassing. He almost looks like a cardboard cutout at times. It is embarrassing how bad the effects are, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
So I get why people at the time called it out. But they said, okay, Lex Luthor's back, the actual Lex Luthor this time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to recount the plot. Whatever. He manufactures Molten Man, Nuclear Man.
Yeah.
And he's the equivalent of Superman. So great, you've got an actual credible villain. He's actually stronger than Superman.
Yep.
And on paper, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good.
Return to the basics.
Yep. Could have been the plot for Superman 3. It makes logical sense for this to be the plot of Superman 3. Is that like Lex Luthor, having seen General Zod challenge Superman, is like, hang on a sec, Superman's not undefeatable. It just needs to be someone strong enough.
Yeah.
And
So he manufactures him, and then they have a fight, and the fight scenes are they're on the moon at one point trying to fight in low gravity. They're a little clunky.
Yeah.
But it kind of works weirdly. I'm not going to go all the way with Alien 3 here and say I really like it, but I'm a bit of a defender of number 4 because I think part 3 is top to bottom terrible.
Yeah.
Part 4, I think the only problem with part 4 was the budget being cut.
Yeah.
And as a result, the action doesn't work. And now there is some talk about a lot of scenes were cut. So at one point, the nuclear man turns up and takes Lois Lane away. No, wait. Lois Lane? Another character. Oh, geez, all the generic female characters played
all
together.
The screaming females.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. And there was a scene that establishes that the nuclear man had the hots for her, and that was cut. So it's kind of like, well, why is he stealing the girl? And I'm going, yeah, but if you go back to the formula, 78, they come up with a film, hero beats the bad guy, it's designed for 12-year-olds, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's actually fine.
Yeah.
And the analysis these days you see, the analysis I see on YouTube is 40 and 50-year-olds that are doing film analysis and going, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, what's the character's motivation in that scene? But like
for 12-year-olds, I can testify to it. 12-year-olds at the time, actually it's probably about 8, didn't care, and I really liked 4 as a kid.
Yeah. And
when I watched it again, I went, it was fun. It was
but also like that's too high a standard. Like we don't apply that standard generally to comic book movies for a reason.
Yeah.
The villains always kidnap people off the street just to get a response from the hero. That's part of the deal.
If you're trying to make a more complex film, like Christopher Nolan's Batman films are inherently more complex, and if you have a fundamental plot flaw, people will point that out. That kind of makes more sense.
Yeah.
To an extent. You can't take that too far still.
Yeah.
But this is Superman 4, where he flies around, picks up all the nuclear weapons and throws them in the sun.
Yeah.
Because he's doing nuclear disarmament.
Yeah.
That is beautifully naive.
Yeah, it is. It's a little kid's idea of how you solve that problem.
Yeah. And that's, if you go in there with that, it seems silly to go, or if you think like a 10-year-old, then you can excuse anything. But it's no, that was the target audience.
Yeah. And I would also, give me a movie that says, here is how a 10-year-old would fix the problem, as opposed to a movie that is no, that's not a problem. It's actually good that there's so many nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
We need that to defend ourselves from the other people with the nuclear. At least its politics are in the right place.
Yeah. And because Reeve apparently pushed that himself. He wanted that in the film.
Yeah.
And people would say, oh, Superman shouldn't get involved. And that even comes up in the film. They even address it. He addresses the UN and everything. And it is, a child writes to Superman and says, can you fix this?
Yeah.
And I feel like that literally happened. So he said, I'm going to put that in my movie. And it's like,
it's a pretty good representation of how the world
in this universe, this
Superman
is how it should work.
He's not burdened with a overabundance of brains. The character is not meant to be. He's not Batman.
No.
And I think that's again why Superman 2025 is so effective. He's not a political animal.
No.
He just doesn't want people to get hurt.
Yeah, and that's why he gets involved in part 4. So here I am defending part 4. There it is.
Yeah, I get that. It's a better written movie. I would say it's a better written movie than definitely 3. And if we're taking into account the absolute mess that the endings of 1 and 2, it's maybe the best written of the first 4 Superman movies.
I think so. It does sum up the character and that wholesome naivete.
Yeah.
I really like it. I think if you just had the money, they couldn't afford to film in New York again, so they're filming in Milton Keynes in the UK. And they were going to use matte paintings to extend the buildings, and they just didn't.
Yeah, okay.
So he's like, here's the UN building, and it's only 10 stories high.
It's a fish and chip shop.
Basically.
Yeah.
Not much more than that, honestly. And the effects were bad. And
Nuclear Man looks like a product of the time as well.
Or you talk about Captain Planet villains?
Yeah.
That
looks
is
like Captain Pollution.
I'm getting flashbacks.
He's got like the MacGyver mullet and the Tina Turner like leather print leotard, and
he's got the sharp nails.
Yeah,
because he scratches him. That's what nearly kills. It's just a delight. It really is.
He's got a real Thunderdome energy to him.
Oh yes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Oh wow. We're coming out with our references here.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing. If because the bulletproof shield is, you can say, of any film. Well, if you're going with the mentality of a 10-year-old, then you can excuse anything. But I'm saying this is a case where that works and is justified.
Yeah.
And 8 or 10-year-old me didn't notice the bad effects.
Yeah.
And even when I'm watching them now, it's like, well, even when 3 days prior I'd watched 1 and 2, and I had to overlook the fact that they had aged, and I did. So why can't I overlook the fact that they're crummy here? And I did, and there it is. And
there's it reminds okay, this is bringing things forward a lot. But something I've been paying attention to in the last couple of days is the Super Mario Galaxy movie's just come out.
Okay.
And critically, it's being torpedoed. Mm-hmm. People are a lot of the reviews are like, this is the first TikTok movie. It is like discrete scenes disconnected from plot, big characters doing stupid things. It's terrible. And then the defense, the automatic defense for this is always, but it's a kids movie, so what do you want? The genre kids movie has never really existed. It's always been family movie, and the idea of a family movie is that the parents can watch it and enjoy it as the kids watch it and enjoy it. And
we had a plethora of those. You look at the late 80s, early 90s Disney movies.
Yeah, the Disney's second golden age, Pixar movies. And I would even say the first Super Mario Brothers movie from Illumination Studios is a family movie. There's plenty there that adults can enjoy. If an adult can't enjoy a movie for kids, chances are the kids are not going to enjoy it on a second watch.
Yeah, it'll be the sugar rush.
Yeah, they enjoy it because it's bright and shiny and new.
Yeah.
But it's not good and it's not nourishing. It's junk food.
Yeah. You think of like Jumanji with Robin Williams back in the day. That's good. Or Hook, those kinds of movies.
Yeah, those are family movies. Where it's a little bit like you watch it with your kids because it will raise questions and you have discussions with your kids about like, this was a bit scary. So
that TikTok description is pretty good. It's the difference between, with a 4-year-old in the house, I can testify, when you're watching something with a narrative and a message versus a 2-minute clip that's isolated and exists in this little vacuum to some extent. Or watch somebody playing a game. You're not learning any lessons from that. Effectively.
We had this conversation the other night at home. The youngest daughter was watching a sitcom, and she's only just started getting into sitcoms.
Right.
And she said like how much she enjoys it when a joke is signposted earlier in an episode, and then it pays off later on.
It's that rhythm, isn't it?
And
set up.
Yeah,
joke.
We said to her like, this is what happens when you watch scripted stuff.
Yeah, those you had humans in a room writing,
it's
not AI generated.
Yeah, but it's not streaming, it's not improvised, because you can't improvise. I mean, we're pretty good at it actually, but you can't improvise
apart from us.
You can't improvise signposting like that. It takes scripting and refinement, and like it is one of the best things about the medium of entertainment is that you have time to do it.
Absolutely. If you go back to, I remember rewatching Friends only a year or so ago, and I wouldn't say that shows age perfectly, but that rhythm, set up, joke, and then sometimes an extra joke as well. Next scene, move, and away you go. The fact that they were able to do that consistently for 10 years is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So what we're talking about here is a lack of depth versus even in Superman 4, there's some depth. There's a message about nuclear disarmament. There's what can a hero do, because there's a point where he doesn't know if he should get involved or not. So he reveals himself to Lois, and then does the kiss again to...
he changes his mind, he's like, nah.
Yeah, but he wanted to show, I'm Superman, what should I do? And she gives him the inspiration, you should do something.
Yeah.
But then he's like...
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, what's the Men in Black
puts
thing?
The blanket over it. It's night time now. Go to sleep.
I swear something happened just now.
Yeah.